Right, it's about that time in the show where we come to the section where I have to talk to my boy Raj Katecha from Love Soul, who's going to give us the lowdown on what's going on in the world of hip-hop music this week. Now, Raj, I've got you on the line. He's here, he's ready. And I understand that going on from last week, we now have a name for what this new section of the show is going to be, right?
Yeah, what's up, Ilotech? I think we're going to go down the line of hip-hop is bread.
Hip-hop is bread.
Yep.
I like it.
Because hip-hop isn't dead, hip-hop is bread. Hip-hop is back, it's alive, and it's making money, and that's kind of the part of the industry that I'm super interested in. So we're going to call this section Hip-Hop is Bread. The last week got a lot of good feedback, so shout out to everyone that listened in. And we've got some more big news for you this week, Ilotech.
Tell me, man, what is happening on Hip-Hop is Bread this week?
Well, it's a great week to be a white rapper. Mac Miller has just won the first ever BMI Social Star Award presented by Spotify. Now, what this means is that Mac Miller is essentially smashing it on social media at the moment. Now, before I get into some of his numbers, he showed up on the Breakfast Club in the US last week, just before his VMAs, just before the MTV VMAs. And they made note of the fact that he'd actually made the Forbes 30 under 30 list. Now, if you really think about who's on a list like this, you're talking about artists like Lady Gaga, Adele, Drake, Justin Bieber, and then you've got this independent artist, Mac Miller. Now, as far as on social media is concerned, he obviously now has a Vevo channel. So for those of you who don't know what Vevo is, it's kind of like the official YouTube channel where you get adverts played over your videos so you can make a little bit of money. Now, on his Vevo channel, he's got 15,200 subscribers and 10.4 million views. Ahead of getting to the level where he can have his own Vevo channel, he had his own YouTube channel with his music videos on there. So it's youtube.com/TreeJTV, which has 387,000 subscribers and 367 million views. Now, this is important because you potentially got a rapper here, and a white rapper at that before being signed could become one of the biggest artists in the world if he had a major label behind him, because unlike someone like Eminem, who got signed and blew up from getting that big advance, you've essentially got a guy who doesn't need a major record label. So Mac Miller looks like he's setting himself up for a really long career. He's got a massive following with the skaters and the hipsters and all the indie acts and the indie artists and fans. So it looks like you've got a potential big money earner right here.
I think that is absolutely phenomenal. Like you said, for an artist of his background, his stature, and his lack of major label backing, to be on a list with people like Lady Gaga, Drake, wow, I'm blown away. That is amazing. Yep.
Coming up not too far behind him and just starting his career is another white rapper by the name of Caskey, who recently signed to YMCMB. So if you have a look under the name Caskey, which is Caskey, you'll see a new YouTube video that came out last week where he's actually signing a deal with YMCMB, and Birdman is in the video with the contract. Now, as we know, Birdman is one of the top business people in the hip-hop industry, signing great acts, everyone from Lil Wayne to Jay Sean. And in that video, you actually hear Caskey rhyme over a lot of big Cash Money records. So he signs the deal, and then you kind of get this kind of pseudo music video where you hear him rhyming for about 4 or 5 minutes. Very gutsy to rhyme over big Cash Money records, as Caskey is only 20 years old, coming out of Orlando, Florida. Now, he's got a great story behind him in the sense that he's kind of gone through all the hardships that labels find it easy to build a story around. Unfortunately, in 2009, he lost his father, who was his biggest fan and his biggest supporter. In 2011, he was in a 70-mile-an-hour motorcycle crash that left him with his shoulder exposed and a whole bunch of skin grafts and scars. Now, the music you want to hear is a mixtape that he put out some time ago called No Complaints. So have a look for that. Caskey, and the mixtape is called No Complaints. The flow is a little bit like Weezy, but different enough to be interesting.
Sounds good, man, and definitely sounds like he's got some decent material to put. I don't want to sound rude about it, but it sounds like he's got some life experience there to put into some songs, rather than the same old cash money, guns, clothes, blah, 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 blah.
Well, it's going to be interesting because I think he's probably bringing one of the richest stories for a new artist to Cash Money. And Cash Money and of course, people like We The Best and MMG, they're kind of all in that, balling and going OTT with that kind of stuff, content-wise. So to bring somebody in who's really not coming from that heritage, and of course as an independent artist, he's got lots of videos where he shows he's not from that background. Is it going to be about lyrics? Is it going to be about holding it down by himself? Let's see where it goes. I can tell you that if you look that video up, you're going to be quite impressed by this young guy.
I'm definitely going to look into it, man. What else you got for us, Raj?
So it's been a big week as far as tapes are concerned. Now, we've not got as many as last week, but there are 2 really good ones that I think, particularly if you're into your classic tapes, you're going to really get into. First up is Styles P, 1/3 of the Locks. Now, for those of you who don't know the locks, and for those of you who don't know that Styles P is actually just 1/3 of them, he actually came up under B.I.G. in the 90s, and he's one of the hardest kind of street New York rappers. The mixtape is called Diamond Life Project, and it's another example of like a classic 90s rapper. He's got amazing flows, and you can really tell because he's got people like Bun B on the record. He's also got people like Raheem DeVaughn on the record. And really, from start to end, it's an incredible tape. Kind of taking you right back to the streets and doing what the Lux were about, all the way from the 90s through to now. But as an MC, he's really kind of at the top of his game. And I think at the moment, it's kind of funny, and I don't know if you'd agree, but the old MCs are the ones holding it down. I feel like Nas had the best album this year. Jay-Z is the best rapper in the world. It's kind of like the thoroughbreds are kind of coming to the surface. What do you think?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there's no better way of putting it, because you could argue now even Busta Bus is putting out a mixtape soon, and he doesn't really do things like that. You know, you could argue that, you know, these old guys should just kind of lay their coats down and give it up and leave it for the new guys. But you know, I was at the Olympic closing ceremony Sunday night, and Jay-Z was there, and I was kind of thinking, yeah, well, I've seen him so many times, you know, what's the big deal? But they remind you, man, when they come out there and you see him live, and we had very good tickets, so we're right near the front, by the way. So it was just awesome seeing him like that. So yeah, I'm definitely all for it, and I'm hitting the Nas concert. Are you going as well?
Actually, I don't know about that concert. Tell me when that is.
It's coming up very soon. He's got dates. You know, Nas being Nas, right? He won't do he doesn't do things like a regular guy. He's kind of, I've always called him the grumpy old man of hip hop, but he kind of changed my feelings about him with his last album. But anyway, he's doing dates in Shoreditch and some other places. I'm sorry, I can't remember where they are right now, but they're in October, around that time, October and November. So he's going to be out here. I can't wait, man. I got my tickets. So I'm going to see him.
Well, it's funny, nice segue that you mentioned Nas coming to the UK. The show that I'm super excited about and that I can't attend because I'm DJing is the one I really would like to go to is on October the 20th, Saturday, which is DJ Premier and Bumpy Knuckles, a.k.a. Freddie Fox, coming to London, the Garage. So tickets are on sale for that right now, and I think that's going to be a really hot show, and it's like £15 a ticket. So all the hip-hoppers out there that have yet not heard DJ Premier, I promise you this is a rite of passage. He's one of the best DJs, he's one of the best producers, and he's got a massive track record of hits. So the Nas show is going to be hot. I think the Primo show is going to be right up there. Second up on tapes, you've got another classic artist from the 90s as well, DJ K Slay. He's back in the game with the Return of the Gatekeeper mixtape. Now, this is a super mixtape with a bunch of amazing MCs on there. Now, you've got the Click record that blew up last week, which is Big Sean, Jay-Z, and Kanye West. But on top of that, if you're looking for more of that street music, you've got Excuse Me featuring Gunplay, Vado, Uncle Murder, Source Money from back in the day from Jay-Z's old Click. You've got Black Hippie Crew on there as well, Highway to Hell. So you've got Kendrick Lamar, Schoolboy Q, and J-Rock, and a whole bunch of like really hard records. The Goodbye remix with Fat Joe and Slaughterhouse, where they've done the shout-outs to Chris Lighty and talking about the impact that Chris Lighty had on their careers, which we touched on last week. So that's another super hot tape.
That sounds really exciting. I caught Fat Joe's verse off that. Sounded really, really good, man. You know what? This is the first time I've actually felt excited about a K-Slay tape since Papoose. So this is a big thing.
Yeah, K-Slay is definitely back on one. I mean, there was a lot more kind of video content and stuff coming up around him recently, and it definitely felt like there's a lot less about the music. It's nice to see him put out a tape and it can return to the heat that he's known for. That's the original street sweeper right there. And then finally, as you know, it's the 2012 presidential election coming up. And as a result, President Obama is doing the rounds. And of course, when President Obama does the rounds on the hip-hop stations, he's going to get asked hip-hop questions. And the big hip-hop question for President Obama this week was, what did he think of Nicki Minaj's verse, where Nicki Minaj was talking about being a Republican and actually shouted out Mitt Romney. Now, President Obama was asked about this, and smart as he is, he danced around the subject and mentioned that Nicki Minaj had a whole bunch of different personalities, and it was probably one of the other personalities that was shouting out his opponent in the 2012 presidential election. Great PR for Nicki Minaj. Of course, it's keeping President Obama nicely associated to the streets and to the young voters by talking about Nicki Minaj. So that was a nice move. That was definitely a hip-hop is bread move, and a good look for Miss Pink Friday.
And an excellent way to sum up this week's Hip Hop is Bread, Raj.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure being on there again. And of course, if you want to check out any of the links to any of the stories that we've talked about, you can go to lovesoul.tv, and I'll put all the links up there so you can download any of these tapes, check out any of these videos.
Wicked, brother. Thank you once again for giving us the lowdown this week, and we hope to catch you right here, same place next week, right?
Thanks very much. Shout out to everyone listening.
It's all love, man. Peace, brother.
Peace.